Welcome to today's Clinical Explainer on Vascular Mechanics. I'm stepping into the role of your biology professor today because, frankly, the material we're covering is absolute high-stakes biology. We're going to rigorously analyze the precise interventions required to reverse cellular hypoxia and structural stiffness in your lower extremities. If you've studied cellular circulation at all, you know the stakes for vascular preservation are massive. So take out your notebooks, pay close attention, and let's dive right in. Here is our syllabus for today's lecture. We're rapidly covering the pathology of vascular stiffness, oxidative stress, and endothelial defense, optimizing cellular hemodynamics, vasodilation via nitric oxide, and finally, the apex intervention, flaxseed. All right, before we get into the heavy biochemistry, consider this single metric, 7 seconds. That is the pathological capillary refill time observed in a 73-year-old clinical case study. Now, under healthy biological parameters, that process should take less than 2 seconds. A 7-second delay? That indicates severe peripheral oxygen deprivation. And what's most alarming here from a clinical standpoint is that this occurred despite maximum pharmacological intervention. We're talking blood thinners, cholesterol medications, vasodilators. The chemistry was being manipulated, but the underlying mechanical architecture was still actively failing. Which brings us to Section 1, the pathology of vascular stiffness. We need to establish the biological battleground first. The endothelium is your primary vascular defense. It's the incredibly delicate inner lining of your blood vessels, and it is totally responsible for regulating vascular relaxation, flexibility, and efficient cellular oxygen delivery. But here's the problem. Decades of systemic stress, high blood pressure, and inflammatory diets don't just pass harmlessly through this barrier. They chronically damage it. And this perfectly illustrates why simply forcing blood through a damaged vessel without repairing the vessel itself is a complete biological fallacy. It's literally like pushing high-pressure water through a rusted calcified pipe. It just doesn't work. Let's map out this strict chronological progression of vascular degradation. In decade 1, you have silent arterial inflammation. It goes entirely unnoticed. By decade 2, this chronic inflammation forces the structural narrowing and stiffening of those vessel walls. And then by decade 3, we hit the critical phase, peripheral hypoxia and capillary shutdown. The mechanical failure is complete. Colloquially, you might know this as having heavy, cramping, freezing legs. Biologically, the capillaries have simply pinched off. Section 2, oxidative stress and endothelial defense.
Now, the compounds we're looking at here are not merely casual dietary suggestions. These are highly specific biochemical interventions. Look at vitamin E, derived from sunflower seeds. It actively neutralizes oxidative damage right inside the vessel walls. Then, from sesame seeds, we extract a plant compound called sesamin alongside the mineral copper. Sesamin acts to systematically calm that chronic arterial inflammation we just talked about, while copper is an absolute biological requirement for actually reconstructing and maintaining the structural integrity of the arterial walls themselves.
Let me make this completely clear. Without the protective interventions of vitamin E, sesamin, and copper, oxidative stress acts exactly like internal rust. It builds up silently within your vascular architecture, and over time, this oxidative rust destroys the natural flexibility of the tissue, rendering your blood vessels entirely rigid. And it's simple physics, class. When the vessels can't flex, the blood simply cannot flow. Moving on to Section 3, optimizing cellular hemodynamics. I'll pose this diagnostic question to the class. Why do the lower extremities experience this mechanical failure first? Why does oxygen delivery consistently fail in the feet and the lower legs way before the rest of the body? Well, it's a matter of distance, gravity, and the incredibly microscopic size of the capillaries at the absolute furthest reaches of your circulatory system. The secret to preserving this distal flow lies entirely in erythrocyte flexibility. Let's look at the capillary navigation cascade. First, chia seeds provide a high-yield delivery of plant-based omega-3 fatty acids. Second, those omega-3s chemically alter your red blood cells, your erythrocytes, keeping their outer membranes incredibly soft and pliable. Third, because they're soft, these erythrocytes can successfully squeeze their way through severely narrowed capillary pathways without getting stuck. And finally, a natural compound in chia called quercetin actively steps in to prevent excessive platelet clumping. Just compare the two states. On one side, we have viscous blood. It's thick, sticky, and moving sluggishly through the lower extremities. On the other side, we have optimized blood viscosity. This efficient, incredibly smooth cellular transit is strictly supported by the consistent introduction of omega-3 fatty acids into your biological system. Look, you absolutely have to optimize the fluid if the pipes are narrow.
Section 4. Vasodilation via nitric oxide.
Okay, let's talk about how we naturally force these compromised vessels open. Step 1, pumpkin seeds deliver a massive dose of dietary zinc and the amino acid L-arginine. Step 2, the endothelium absorbs and utilizes this L-arginine as a direct precursor. Step 3, nitric oxide is actively synthesized, which triggers a powerful chemical signal forcing the smooth muscle of the arterial walls to physically relax. Step 4, as those walls relax and widen, your blood flow volume and peripheral oxygenation strictly and immediately increase. Now, this whole cascade requires a very precise mineral environment. We've got zinc stimulating the nitric oxide production and L-arginine providing the raw material, but we also have magnesium, which biologically enforces that vessel relaxation, completely preventing the painful cramping associated with rigid constriction. Add in potassium, which acts to balance cellular sodium levels to ensure efficient fluid dynamics. This precise mineral array fundamentally supports the exact chemical reactions needed to keep your blood vessels open and responsive. Which brings us to Section 5, the apex intervention, flaxseed. Advanced clinical researchers have become especially interested in lignans because they may help reduce oxidative stress directly inside blood vessels. Flaxseed represents a profound, highly targeted therapeutic approach to restoring vascular elasticity. Make no mistake, this isn't just casual nutrition. This is a rigorous intervention supported by advanced clinical observation. What we're looking at here is an aggressive, multi-pronged attack on vascular decay. First, those plant compounds known as lignans directly neutralize the oxidative rust inside the blood vessels. Second, a massive payload of omega-3 fatty acids comes in to refine the blood's overall viscosity, ensuring your fluid dynamics are optimal. Third, a dense fiber matrix regulates the entire metabolic absorption process, meticulously managing the blood sugar spikes that otherwise destroy the endothelium. Together, this protocol systematically improves blood pressure and restores crucial vessel flexibility. However, you need to meticulously note this strict biological requirement right now. The cellular shell of the whole flaxseed is totally impenetrable to human digestion. The seeds absolutely must be mechanically ground. If they are not completely ground to bypass this digestive barrier, these highly potent therapeutic compounds will just pass through your gastrointestinal system completely unabsorbed. If you skip this step, the entire intervention will fail. I'm going to leave you with this final critical thought. Are your daily dietary habits actively preserving your endothelium, or are they relentlessly accelerating its structural decline? Vascular mechanics do not degrade overnight, and they certainly are not restored overnight. Reversing this damage requires the strict, consistent application of these precise biological tools. All right, class dismissed. Take this knowledge, apply it rigorously to your cellular habits, and I will see you in the next explainer.